from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A very good evening and welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Malsha Dharmavardhana.
And I'm Siobhan Pereira. Let's take a look at the headlines right now. Water is being released to Udawalava from Samanalabhava Reservoir. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says the government has not taken a decision not to supply water to Udawalava farmers. The President reiterates that the bureaucracy has to be streamlined for a speedy economic growth. Minister Bandula Gunawardena says the President has directed the country in a proper direction within a year. A person killed in a fire at a factory in Kandana. More than 60 students of 3 schools affected by noxious gas inhalation. Talks between Niger Army military leaders and the US. The Ministry of Agriculture says releasing of water to the Udawalava Reservoir from the Samanalabhava Reservoir for agricultural purpose has commenced at 3 o'clock this morning after receiving cabinet approval to do so last evening. The water was released at dawn today for the first round, which is the last for 3 days. Accordingly, a volume of 3.5 million cubic meters of water is scheduled to be released in a day. The drought, which has affected the Mahaveli-Valava zones after 20 years, has led to the depletion of the water level in the Udawalava Reservoir. The Mahaveli Authority says due to lack of water, around 800 hectares of paddy lands and 100 hectares of additional crops are in the process of destruction. The Mahaveli Authority points out that the total water capacity of the Udawalava Reservoir is 217,800 acre-feet. However, by this morning, the water capacity at the reservoir has fallen to 641 acre-feet. The water being released upon generation of the electricity at the Samanalabhava hydroelectricity station in Kapugala is directed to the Valavi River in Demodara, along the Katupattoya Dam in addition. As a result of the water leakage in the Samanalabhava Reservoir, another stream of water is being released to the Udawalava Reservoir via Valavi River in Kumbulgama area. Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesman Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said at a media briefing to convey Cabinet decisions today that the intelligence divisions have received information regarding certain groups planning to create a struggle based upon water and electricity.
ආරම්භ කරලා තිබුණා අමරවීර මන්ත්‍රී තුමා කෘෂිකර්ම ඇමතුමාගේ තමන්ගේ පුද්ගලික නිවාහනය වට කරන්න සූදානම් කරලා තිබුණා ඊට පස්සේ විදුලි බලයට සම්බන්ධ කාංචන විජේසේකර මහත්තුමාගේ නිවසට විශේෂ ආරක්ෂාවක් යොදන්න උනා වට කරන්න සැලැස්මක් තිබුණා ඊට පස්සේ මේ ඔක්කොම කණ්ඩායම් ටික සංවිධානාත්මකව කොළඹට ගෙන අර විදිහේ
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says the cabinet has not taken a decision regarding not providing water to the Udawalava farmers. The minister said in Parliament today that water has been issued from the Samanalabhava Reservoir up to now with proper management. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that the Irrigation Ministry has requested them to release water from the Samanalabhava unit until the 30th of June. However, another request has been made on the 30th of July to release water. The minister added that a misconception has been propagated to give the impression that if the water was released earlier, the problem would not have been arisen. He added that the Electricity Board is managing water conservation according to the plans. Due to these prudent activities, it has become possible to provide electricity without cutbacks till the 15th of October. He has expressed hope on the possibility of providing electricity without cutbacks beyond the months of October and November. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe reiterates the need for streamlining of bureaucracy for a speedy economic development in the 21st century.
The President has made these remarks participating on the occasion of embarking on provision of the main trade facilities in Sri Lanka. Local and foreign entrepreneurs relating to the import and export sectors have also participated in the program. Discussions were centered on new opportunities to enhance the export market.
The bankruptcy which we face has made us realize that if we are to succeed, we must become a competitive economy and an export economy. And a part of that is the need not merely to restructure the economy, but also once you release the forces of the private sector, to facilitate them, especially in the area of trade. Trade is the essence, and by facilitating trade, you ensure that you are enhancing your prospects for growth. So the trade facilitation service which we have launched today is a key component both of the restructuring of the economy and the connected one of digital transformation. Without digital transformation, we will not have rapid economic growth. I think now we have all realized that you cannot compete with a 21st century economy with a 20th century bureaucracy. Your bureaucratic systems have to change, and this is the best way in which we can help people, that we reduce the time taken in all these administrative procedures. This is but one part of the measures we are taking. The new Economic Commission law will ensure that we are able to process applications, whether it be for investments, for trade, in a specified time period, which means we have to change. It's not merely a question of establishing a one-stop center. You have to change all the regulations and the outlook. Otherwise, everything stops at the one-stop center and it doesn't go ahead. So this is a part of the restructuring process we are taking place. Sri Lanka is also at the same time looking out at new markets. We've been signing free trade agreements. We are now applied to join the RCEP. That's a very big market. Without the trade facilitation and digital transformation, you cannot get into that market.
Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says President Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed the country in the proper direction within a period of 1 year. He has made these observations at a media briefing to convey cabinet decisions today. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that the Sri Lankan economy has been directed in a favourable direction. The inflation, which was around 70s last year, has come down. In addition, the bank interest rates have declined. The minister further said that the rupee value has been strengthened and the printing of currency has been further reduced. The minister has further stated that certain groups are attempting to gain political advantage by pointing out the interest ratio of the Employers' Provident Fund. The minister has also made observation regarding the increasing of lotteries prices. The minister said that we are bringing an act to resolve the problem relating to the Employers' Provident Fund. With the revision of the Act, any government that comes into the power in future will have to pay a 9% increase for the EPF members of the next 4 years.
මුදල් අච්චු ගැසීම විශාල ලෙස අඩු කරලා
An employee of a factory producing chemical products in Kandana was killed on the spot when a fire erupted at the factory this morning.
More than 60 students in 3 schools in the vicinity of the factory were admitted to the Ragama Teaching Hospital when they turned sick after inhaling the noxious fumes that emanated from the fire. 20 of the victims were reported to have discharged from the hospital upon treatment. The fire has occurred in a storage of a factory producing chemical items in the Devatotupala Road, Kandana. The employee killed in the incident was a 50-year-old resident of Ganemulla who had been an accountant of the establishment. The firefighters have doused the flames with the assistance of the Navy and the fire service units of Nigambo and Gampaha. The affected school children were suffering from respiratory difficulties after inhaling the smoke.
We move in for a short commercial break. We'll be back with more local stories. Do stay with us.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
இனிய மாலை இசை வரவேற்பு இரவின் அழைப்பு மியூசிக் கஃபே சகவாழ்வின் சஞ்சாரம்
The Cabinet of Ministers have granted approval for the implementation of the National Policy on the Prevention of Money Laundering and Financing of Terrorism for the years 2023 to 2028.
The proposal has been presented by the President, Ranil Wickremesinghe. An action plan is also being implemented on the tasks to be carried out by the respective institutions as solutions to the shortcomings identified in the prevention of money laundering and financing of terrorism. Sri Lanka will come under the international monitoring with effect from March 2025 to ascertain whether Sri Lanka is acting according to the standards of money laundering. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for a long-term lease of a state land in the Hambantota district for prawn farming. The proposal in this regard was presented by Minister Harin Fernando. The land has been leased for a period of 30 years under the government's procurement process. The Cabinet of Ministers has also approved the proposal to advise legal draftsmen to prepare a draft bill on the revision of the Act to control insecticides. The proposal was presented by Minister Mahinda Amaraveera. The draft bill includes provisions to recover state expenses on the environmentally friendly destruction of illegal insecticides from the preparators of the offences themselves. The other factors included in the draft bill is to create changes to strengthen the punishments imposed on those who are repeatedly engaged in such offences.
The Ministry of Transport says preliminary measures pertaining to the inclusion of buses driven through electric power to the local passenger transportation system by the year 2048 will be taken within the next few months. A discussion in this connection was held at the President's office yesterday. The Ministry of Transport has planned to introduce a national transportation policy with the view of providing long-term solutions to the problems in the public transportation system. It has also been pointed out at the meeting that plans are underway to present joint timetables and an electronic ticketing system in the public transportation service. It has also focused attention on the problems confronted by the passengers as well as bus owners due to the managerial problems and inefficiency in the sector. Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena, State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna, President's Secretary Samaneka Nayaka and the Secretary to the Ministry of Transport Priyantha Mayadunna were also present on this occasion. A group of members of the Association of Persons Paying Leasing and Loan Installments have been taken into police custody today on charges of forcefully entering the premises of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka.
The police says they were arrested while engaging in a protest in front of the central bank. A group of association members paying leasing and loan installments were reported to have arrived in the golf face green in a bus, got down from the vehicle and immediately tried to enter the premises. Thereafter, they were engaged in an agitation in front of the central bank. The agitation has commenced demanding to bring down the leasing interest, which is at 28% at time when the interest rates of depositors is at 8%. The protesters have also demanded to end the participation of illegally seizing vehicles and to implement the law against leasing companies. The protesters were removed from the premises with the intervention of security officers of the central bank and the police. Thereafter, officials of the Fort Police Station have arrived and arrested the agitators. On this occasion, a tense situation has been created between the police and the protesters. The police say that the arrested included a woman and 9 males. Now, the Colombo Magistrates Court has ordered the police today to provide a report regarding the police officials who have obstructed the duties of the excise officials during a raid they have conducted in the Marine Drive in Bambalapitiya.
4 officials of the Excise Department who have been arrested in connection with last evening's shooting incident were released on bail upon presentation before the judiciary. The raid had been carried out according to information received by the Excise Narcotics Division. One of the excise officials was reported to have shot at the front wheel of a vehicle of a suspect who had attempted to evade the arrest by speeding his vehicle, disregarding orders to halt. The incident was recorded in a CCTV camera. 4 excise officials, including an excise inspector, were arrested in connection with the incident when they were going back in a van they had arrived. The police have also taken into custody the pistol of the excise inspector suspected to have shot the vehicle. The police have also apprehended the vehicle that was subjected to shooting when parked in the Vallavatta area about 2 kilometers away from the location of the shooting. The motor car which brought narcotics along with the packaging of the narcotics were produced before the Colombo magistrate today. The police say the suspect was arrested. A group of Sri Lankan children has been accorded the opportunity to play cricket and exchange opinions with the world-renowned cricketer Sachin Tendulkar.
This was made possible due to Sachin Tendulkar engaging in a tour in Sri Lanka as a South Asian UNICEF regional ambassador. Cricket legend Tendulkar's 2-day Sri Lankan visit has been organized under the sponsorship of the UNICEF organization. Among the objectives of the tour included to look into the nutritional requirements as well as other needs of the local children, to evaluate the conflict problems prevailing in this regard, as well as to give impetus to this program based on nutrition in order to enlighten the relevant groups. The reputed Indian cricketer, who had engaged in several field tours, has extended his support to Sri Lanka's UNICEF aid program.
I also learnt a lot in life to have balance between celebrations and disappointments. So celebrations were not over the top, disappointments were not so low that I cannot get up on my feet again. I felt whenever I failed, I got back on my feet again and competed hard in the fairest possible manner. And all these things were not learnt in my school. They were not learnt in the classroom, but there was another classroom called dressing room. That is where I learnt all these things. So I would encourage the children in Sri Lanka to also go out and play sport. That is going to directly impact their health. And whatever they choose to be in life, be it a doctor, lawyer, journalist, you can only become better. There'll be more consistency if you're a fitter person. A fitter nation can do wonders.
R.S. Kasmira Jayavira, a female student at the Veyangoda Bandaranaike Central College, has been successful in winning an award for a speech on peace conducted by her at the World Children's Peace Conference held in Japan. The World Children's Peace Conference was conducted for the fourth occasion in Tokyo, Japan on the 1st of this month. 12-year-old Kasmira Jayavira was the first Sri Lankan student to have participated in the World Children's Peace Conference. She has elaborated in her speech on the role of child leadership, education and language knowledge to achieve world peace. Kasmira has returned to the island yesterday.
A group of leading Indian investors met the Minister of Ports and Shipping, Nimal Siripala de Silva, today. A group of 12 leading Indian investors whose attention has been drawn to starting several projects in Sri Lanka's shipping and aviation sector met the minister for a discussion in this regard. The Indian investors have stated that their group is focused on investigating in the future development of the ports of Kankasanture and Trincomalee. Commenting on this, the minister said that this will commence of the passenger cruiser services and luxury passenger services between Kankasanture and India. The Ports Authority has taken steps to provide infrastructure to Kankasanture port. Therefore, with the permission of the Indian government, opportunities can be provided to investors who wish to start these transport services. The investors further stated that they would like to invest in this passenger transport project with the permission of the Indian government, and they will hold discussions with the relevant parties in the future. Regarding the investment opportunities in Sri Lanka's aviation sector, the minister said that there are various investment opportunities related to the aviation services within the Mattala airport premises, and for this purpose, the ministry will request for proposals. Indian investors paid close attention to its. Furthermore, the two parties discussed about starting direct flight services between the airport located in the main cities of India and the airports of Ratmalana, Palali and Battikaloa in Sri Lanka. Coming up next is foreign news.
And with that, we are back with the news. Foreign media reports that United States Acting Deputy Secretary of the State of Victoria, Newland, has met with the military government officials in Niger.
United States Acting Deputy Secretary of the State, Victoria Newland, said the controversies had been extremely frank and at times quite difficult. Washington has said that the coup can still be extended diplomatically and precedent reinstated, but has suspended aid payments in the meantime. West African countries are set to meet on Thursday to discuss the crisis. A trading of 15 West African states has issued a deadline to Niger's leaders to stand down and restore the elected president. The leaders responded to a threat of military action from the COP leaders responded to a threat of military action from the bloc by closing Niger's airspace. Newland said that she had met the new military chief of staff but not with the Niger's self-proclaimed new leaders.
Ukrainian officials say that at least 7 people are killed as Russian missiles hit the eastern Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk, destroying a popular hotel and apartments. At least 7 people were killed and multiple others were wounded after a Russian missile attack hit a popular hotel and apartments in the city of Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region. According to witness, 2 missiles hit the center of Pokrovsk within 40 minutes of each other. Foreign media reports that the hotel was popular with journalists, aid workers and the military as one of the few still operating in the Donetsk region near the front line. Meanwhile, United States President Joe Biden's administration is expected to announce $200 million of new weapons for Ukraine, Reuters news agency reports.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
And now taking a look at your sports news.
Permanent member of the national netball team, Tarjini Shivalingam, has announced that she would leave the national team. She has stated her decision in her official Facebook page. Tarjini has also stated that an official statement in the regard will be declared later. Tarjini Shivalingam has taken this decision upon the conclusion of the World Cup netball tournament that ended in Cape Town. Sri Lanka was placed in the 16th position in the tournament. Shivalingam, who was selected to the national netball team in the year 2009, has extended excellent contribution for the international victories of the Sri Lanka team on several occasions. She is 6 feet and 9 inches in height and is functioning as the goal shooter of the Sri Lanka team. She was a strong player in the Sri Lankan team, which won the Asian Netball Trophy in the years 2009, 2018 and 2022. Tarjini Shivalingam was also felicitated with an award as the most excellent netball goal shooter of the world. In the years 2009 and 2011, she has also received the award for the best goal shooter in Asia. She was also the best player at the 2018 Asian Cup netball tournament. Shivalingam was the first Sri Lankan player to represent Sri Lanka in around 100 international netball matches. She has also functioned as the captain of the Sri Lanka netball team and was 44 years old at the time of bidding farewell to the national team.
Prima Kutumi, Pantamai.
And with that, we conclude tonight's news on Rupavahini News. Do join us